A little bit about me, my professional background. I'm working for a nonprofit now. This is my first nonprofit job. I worked at these for-profit companies. On the left, I always bought and sold and leased computer hardware. This down here, I don't know if anybody recognizes that. That's a mainframe terminal. I started in the computer hardware industry buying and selling mainframe equipment, and then moved on to PC servers, notebooks, always buying and selling. And then I joined the nonprofit world about 4 years ago with PCs for People. So a few facts. First, organizations and households stockpile old IT equipment. Why? I'm not sure. Sometimes they think I'm going to need that again. I don't know what to do with it. Sometimes it's because I have data on there. I'm a little worried about it. I might need that data, or I just don't want that data to get loose. These are actual photos from partners of ours, a storeroom, a warehouse, even a hallway full of computer equipment. They don't know where to put it. So that's fact number one. Not going forward here.
What? The right way? I don't know.
I'm not used to Mac, but I tried to write.
It's spacebar. Spacebar. Next page is on the bottom.
Okay, fact number two, less than 25% of global e-waste, electronic waste, is documented as being recycled. And that's the amount of e-waste every year is growing, and the amount that's being recycled every year is not keeping up. Now, truth be told, there's probably more than 25% that's being e-cycled. That's just not documented, but it's still a pittance as to what's available out there. Next fact, low-income households lack computers. These are some numbers from Pew Research. If you look at very low-income families, those earning less than $30,000, less than 60% ownership rate on a laptop or a desktop computer. And myself personally, and at PCs for People, we don't count a cell phone, a smartphone as a substitute for a computer. And if anybody here has ever tried to apply for a job or fill out a long application on a smartphone, it just doesn't cut it. And we have met college students writing term papers on a smartphone, or trying to, that were really committed to doing well in college. As soon as we find out about people like that, it's get into PCs for People, get yourself a desktop or a laptop. Low-income households lack internet. That's another fact. This is a map of Chicago, different neighborhoods in Chicago. It's kind of hard to read the key there, but basically the bluer the area, the less internet is available. So the dark blue is less than 70% of folks. I'm sorry, only 70% of folks have internet, meaning over 30% don't. No surprise. Is everybody here from the Chicago area? Okay, so no surprise that the darker blue areas are the south side and the west side. This is zoomed in on the data to compare a couple of neighborhoods here. Englewood, over 18% of households without a device, and almost 30% of the households without internet. Where you look at the more affluent Lakeview neighborhood, 2% without a device. And still, I'm a little surprised by this 7% without internet in a relatively affluent neighborhood of Lakeview. So here's a solution. Back in the pandemic, Governor Pritzker and Cook County President Preckwinkle realized we have to do something about it. Governor Pritzker realized there were over 1 million households in Illinois that either didn't have a computer or didn't have internet or both. And that's at the time when everybody was saying, stay home, learn remotely, do your job remotely, get telehealth remotely. But what are these families supposed to do? These are people that we used to tell, go to the public library, and that works. And so what happened during the pandemic? They're pulling up outside the McDonald's or the Starbucks and trying to get Wi-Fi on that smartphone for the kids to do homework, and that is not acceptable. So since then, got this again. There we go. Since then, the efforts to bridge the digital divide have grown in the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois has the Office of Broadband. University of Illinois has the Illinois Broadband Lab. Cook County's kind of cut off there. They have the Council on Digital Equity, and the City of Chicago has the Chicago Digital Equity Coalition. PC County, one in Belleville, which serves the downstate part of the area. Has anybody heard of any of these, or is anybody a part of any of these? Okay, great. So here's what PCs for People does to help bridge the digital divide. This is our process. The first thing we do is build relationships with organizations that use computers and retire computers. That could be corporations, it can be municipal governments, it can be colleges and universities, school districts, any users of computers. And users of computers retire their computers, usually after 3 or 4 or 5 years. And there's another 3 or 4 or 5 years of life left in that computer once we get our hands on it. So we've built the relationship. An organization has computers for us. And by the way, we take all electronics. They submit a pickup request to us. We send out a truck from the closest warehouse and a team to pick up the equipment. We filled our truck a few blocks from here yesterday at 300 South Wacker. We stopped at 5 different office suites, filled the truck, and there's more to go back next week from that office building. We take the equipment back to our tech center. Asset tags are removed. Technical support tags are removed. Sometimes in an office, you'll see for tech support, call 1-800-BOEING. And we don't want our next user to be calling Boeing. So we take all of those off. And then even more importantly, we wipe the data. We either take the hard drives out, put them in a special machine to delete data, or now we're able to just connect many devices to our network, delete the data while the hard drive stays in the machine. If we can't securely delete the data, and secure data deletion is incredibly important to building the relationships with the banks and the law firms and the accounting firms that are giving us their computers with their data. If we can't completely delete that data, we have a big shredder that will physically shred the hard drive. So the data is secure and it is gone by the time we're done with it. We provide reporting. If the donor wants reporting, they can get an audit or something, a certificate of data sanitization for audit purposes. It lists every serial number of every computer they contribute to us and every loose hard drive they contribute to us. And we attest to the fact that the data was deleted or the hard drive was shredded. And then we go on with our community impact. I'll get into that in a minute. And I mentioned it before, but we accept all IT equipment. So an organization that partners with us, we want those computers, but we're happy to take the servers and the routers and the switches, and everyone has a box of cables. They don't even know what they go to anymore. We'll take that. I can't reinforce this enough, the secure data deletion. If anybody's planning to go on Jeopardy and they ask you what NAID is, it's the National Association of Information Destruction. And we are AAA certified by that organization. And any organization that's going to use a third party like us to process their equipment at end of life, even if you don't pick PCs for People, make sure they're NAID certified so your data is secure. This was going to be a video of a hard drive being shredded.
Oh, man.
You can kind of see there's a hard drive going in. There's big teeth there that'll shred the hard drive. Website, or you can come on a tour of our warehouse, and usually a lucky person on every tour gets to put a hard drive in the shredder. It's like your paper shredder, but a lot bigger and a lot louder. This is our value proposition to our donor organizations. The donor organization gets no charge electronics recycling and data destruction, and we make it really easy for them. We look for partners who value these kinds of things. Secure data deletion, we talked about that. Saving money, we're no charge. We don't charge to send out our truck. We don't charge for the data deletion. We don't charge for the report. Sustainability, kind of cut off there. Even those items that we can't repurpose, they all stay out of landfills. Last year, we kept 6.4 million pounds of electronics out of landfills. And there's always more to do, but it's a lot of work. That's with 11 tech centers across the country. And giving back, organizations that want to be able to give back and even not write a check. They can give back just by giving us their old computers. And if anybody here is in accounting or finance, usually computers are written down on the books after 3 or 4 years at an organization. So they are worth $0 to that organization. It's just that that data on them represents a huge liability. So they can give back, not write a check, and get the data taken care of. So a little about the community impact. Once we get the computers and we've refurbished as many as we can, refurbishing makes them look good and work good. They have life of at least 80% of original life. Our recipients get a 1-year warranty. They get technical support from us. We have our own telephone and online technical support. We're not just handing off an old computer. We preload a current version of Windows. We're using Windows 11 now. We're a Microsoft authorized refurbisher. So it's a legal, legit version of Windows. We are not using the old user's license for Windows or anything else. We distribute. So one way we distribute is through an event. This is an event that happens to be taking place at a school. Each of these families would have pre-registered for a desktop or a laptop if they're using, possibly internet service if they need it. They've pre-registered, they've shown their income qualification, and then we come out with our truck full of refurbished computers and distribute them. We distribute in retail stores. Most of our tech centers have a retail store in the front. This is actually our Cook County retail store. It's in Oak Lawn on Southwest Highway. Any low-income person could wake up in the morning with no computer and no internet, come to our store and go home and plug in their computer, turn on their hotspot and be surfing the web in the afternoon. And we distribute online like everyone else, and this is becoming more and more popular. This is just a screenshot of our website. A person could go in online, they still have to show their income eligibility. So it's a little bit of a back and forth process. Then they can order and ship to anywhere in the United States. We are just in the United States at this point. This is our impact so far. We've distributed over 400,000 refurbished computers since we were founded in 1998. We've connected over 100,000 households to the internet, and we've saved 23 million pounds of electronics from landfills. So internet, I touched on that a little bit. We provide internet in a couple different ways. We realized early on that if we're providing computers, but there's no internet, it's like providing cars, but there's no road, right? Nobody can really use a computer for much. There are exceptions. You can't use it for much without internet. So our down and dirty way is through a hotspot like this. We now are distributing 5G hotspots. The monthly cost to the subscriber is $15 or less. If you subscribe for multiple months, it can be less than $15. We were part of a federal program that has ended, at least for now, called the Affordable Connectivity Program. Anybody heard of that? Yeah, okay. Yeah. That made this $0 per month when we got people signed up. Hopefully it'll come back. I'm not too optimistic. $15 per month is a lot less than many of us are paying to AT&T or Comcast. Not as fast as fiber, but it does the job.
Who's your ISP?
We use the T-Mobile system, which covers pretty good part of the United
I
States.
saw on your website you had 2 different devices.
I think we still have some of the 4G LTE that as we run out of those, and we're bringing the 5G in. These are our locations where we have physical facilities where we collect the equipment. Our trucks will drive up to 4 hours from any of these locations to pick up a truckload of equipment. Our trucks will go out in the metro areas like the Chicago metro area, the Denver metro area for as few as 15 computers. We offer drop off if a household or a small business wants to contribute and they don't have the 15. And that 15 is just for efficiency's sake. Most of our locations have 1 or 2 trucks, and we can't accomplish our mission picking up 1 at a time, unfortunately. This is a heat map of some of our donor partners. I don't know if you can see that. That's basically the loop. You can see the river coming through there. This shows the number of donors that we've developed. We've only been here in Cook County about 4 years, and we've had 400 organizations contribute computers to us. Buildings we've not picked up at yet. And I look up and see the windows, and every window I know there's many computers sitting there that get retired every 3 or 4 years. So I know that we can increase our impact more.
So is this the heat map for like how many computers you?
Donors. Yeah. This is one of our donor partners, Old National Bank Corp. They've been a longtime contributor. They're a regional bank. This is their report in 2022. They put a quote from a PCs for People recipient about what a computer did for them. They talk a little bit about the sustainability aspects of the computers they've contributed to us. We love proud donors like this that kind of make our mission known. If you watched the Super Bowl, you did not see a PCs for People ad. We're a nonprofit, we're not buying ads on the Super Bowl. We rely on word of mouth, partners like Old National Bank, and folks like you to spread the word. This was going to be the video I had really hoped to show to you, and I can send it later. A 1-20-second home video that one of our recipients' moms sent to us. It's kind of shaky. It's clearly shot on phone. This little boy here, he's probably 9 or 10 years old, clearly really tech savvy for his age. His mom was not able to afford a computer except from PCs for People, and she surprises him on his birthday, has a computer boxed up. He goes into his room, opens it up, and just wait till you see his reaction. And at the end, he says, that quote there, "My heart is beating so fast."
Aww. So
I encourage you to take a look at that. It's only 1-20 seconds. If I'm having a bad day at work, I go look at it while I'm doing what I'm doing. So if what we're doing is meaningful to you, if it speaks to you and you want to help, how can you help? A huge thing is introductions. Introductions to organizations that use and occasionally decommission computer equipment. It can be the corporation you work at, the corporation your neighbor works at. It can be government entities. It can be, if you live in a suburb, we're working with a few of the suburban municipalities, but many we aren't. School districts. If your kids go to a school district in the suburbs, we're working with a small number of school districts. Evanston, Skokie's been great to us, but many of the others we're still trying to get into. Other nonprofit organizations, United Way contributes lots of computers to us. If you're a member of a trade organization, the American Bar Association and the American Medical Association, they're great contributors to us. There's lots of organizations based in Chicago that we're not tapping into. Social service agencies as well. We love introductions to any Or, because most people don't know, most of us, a new computer arrives on our desk every 3 or 4 years, the other one goes away, we don't know where it's going. Somebody who's just willing to ask, like, hey, what do we do with them anyways? And then say, hey, I met this guy Lauren from PCs for People. They can take our computers and do something good with them. So those kind of introductions are great. IT managers are great. ESG managers are great. That's environmental, social governance. That's a position now in a lot of corporations. Hopefully it stays that way. Corporate social responsibility managers are great for us. Sustainability managers, an NEC level manager, or anybody who's really willing to find out what's going on in their organization. And this is how you can connect with me. That goes right to my LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with anybody. Send me an email and I'm happy to take questions.
For questions, I guess, yeah, Lauren, you just want to call on people. We usually run microphones, but
Okay.
just calling people.
So you mentioned that occasionally you send computers out, is that correct?
Send computers out.
Can you have a computer delivered to your home?
Yes.
Okay, did you ever work with Career Karma? Do you know?
I don't recall.
I think my first computer might have been from you.
It might have been.
Yeah, and it was an HP, it was an older, I still have it, and I just really love it.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we ship to all the states in the
Yeah,
US.
and I had a paper and there was a QR code, it sounds like it was you, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. I'm really glad to hear that.
I just want to commend you with the tech support. And also you work with, contribute to, give to seniors as well, senior organizations.
Ours is, it's income-based qualification. So the short answer is yes.
Okay.
It's basically you have to be at 2 times the federal poverty level or below. And then we have some other factors to adjust for if you live in a high cost of living area like Chicago or San Francisco or Boston. That number goes up based upon the median income and some factors on that. Or anybody who's already receiving various forms of federal economic aid, like Social Security, disability, housing vouchers, things like that. It means you're qualified. It has nothing to do with age. You distribute to a lot to seniors, a lot to students, a lot to veterans, but really any demographic that's low income.
A lot of seniors will need that tech support.
Yes.
Sure.
And we do our tech support, by the way, it's not just about the hardware doesn't work. It's also 40 to 60% of our recipients are getting their first computer they own. Maybe they've had access to another. So we will get calls like, I know the Gmail address, I don't know how to do it. Can we take those calls?
Wow.
In this room, that's probably hard to believe, but it happens every day. So, yeah.
I'm on zero income, which is a little bit below low income. Do you guys ever offer anything that's free?
Or so if you go into the retail stores from time to time,
Yeah.
we'll have free Linux computers. By and large, we're distributing Windows computers for a fee. And then sometimes we'll have a sponsor come in and cover the 100% of the cost. We had .com, they sponsored several thousand computers where they covered 100% of the cost. You had to meet our income criteria still, and that's important for our 501c3 and our Microsoft relationship. Income eligibility, and you had to be a job seeker, and they covered the cost of a computer, a hotspot, and a year of internet service. So occasionally we get like a really nice computer and a really nice deal covered like that. So.
Do you plan on extending it to mobile phones or any other devices?
Right now, we're really focused on the desktops and laptops. We could, sometimes we'll do a project-based thing. Somebody, usually it's with another nonprofit where that nonprofit says, we need a bunch of tablets or we need a bunch of phones, and we'll accumulate them. But I don't know if we'll go to the retail level with those. Right now, I think we're more focused on expanding our impact with what we do really well. And how about in the back?
How do you cover your operational expenses if you're not getting paid by the companies donating? And how do you get Windows licenses also?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, the Windows licenses, we get a Microsoft authorized refurbisher, and we are, as far as I know, the only nonprofit that has special status. So we get those licenses for way less than Dell and Lenovo and whoever else is distributing. But part of the caveat is we can only distribute to low income folks or to other nonprofits. We do distribute a little bit to other nonprofits. So we're not cannibalizing their market. The people that get a computer from us, they are not going to be buying a computer from Dell.com, walking into Best Buy and paying where Microsoft is getting, I don't know, probably $90 or $100 a seat. So that our operating expenses, I showed you, we have those 11 or 10, soon to be 11 locations. Each of those has employees. We have probably 170 employees. We have trucks. We have that NAID certification costs a lot of money to get. So here's how we cover our costs. When we distribute a computer, there is a price associated with it. In the retail store, like I said, there's a few that are $0. Most are $35 up to $175. And again, that's with Windows, with a year of warranty, with the tech support. So that covers a portion of our costs. When we pick up electronics, I said we pick up everything. Once in a while, we'll get a nice router or a switch or something that doesn't really fit into a low income household. They're not going to need it. So we have eBay stores where we'll sell those on the open market. That brings in some revenue. And then like any nonprofit, we get grants and donations. We usually start when we open a new facility, we start with one big grant to get the building, to hire the initial employees, to get the truck, to get the certification. So there'll be a big, like I think it was when we opened in Atlanta a couple of years ago, Comcast was our seed grantor there. Yeah.
You're limited to the capacity or the size of the companies that you can feasibly work with, like Fortune 500 companies. Do you have any examples of doing that?
To collect computers from?
Computers.
Some prefer to remain anonymous, but locally we work with Discover Financial Services. They're probably one of the larger ones. Walgreens contributes computers to us. We'll work with any organization. It comes to the bigger the better. But yeah.
And then two, have you ever made it work with a healthcare related entity?
To collect equipment from?
Yeah.
Yeah, John, our Baltimore location is picking up a ton from Johns Hopkins. Locally, we pick up from the American Medical Association. We're trying to crack into a couple of the big hospitals around here. And I'd love introductions into those. Yeah.
You talked a lot about sort of the supply side, like how to get computers in. How do you increase awareness for people who are low income to know about you guys? How do you market to these populations to help them find you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right, we don't have Super Bowl ads, so how do they find out about us? So we have a community impact team that they are all about getting the word out about distributions. And a lot of times we'll start with finding an organization that's already serving the same population. So what comes to mind is the Chicago Housing Authority. If you are living in a Chicago complex, you've met our criteria. So it's a no-brainer. So we've partnered with the Chicago Housing Authority, the Lake County Housing Authority, the Winnebago County, which is where Rockford is, and then lots of other social service agencies and nonprofits that might serve people on a weekly or monthly basis. They have a database of people that are already qualified, and they can even do like a bulk eligibility. So we don't have to ask every person to show eligibility. So that'll be often the way we start. Sometimes we go through periods where we've done public distributions and we publicize it as much as we can. And especially our first year here, 5 people would show up. We'd have shown up with 50 or 100 computers. And it's like really disappointing. Then we go back 3 months later and 50 people show up because those 5 people told other people and said, these guys are for real. Like, yeah, nobody believes they're gonna get a really low cost computer, and at that time, we had a bunch of free computers being distributed, being sponsored by an entity. So some of it's word of mouth, but a lot of it is working through organizations already serving low income households. Yeah.
There's a question from the live stream about companies that use Macs and whether you take those and work with those companies at all.
Yes, we do take Macs, and we do distribute them. I don't know how much we put them on the website versus use them for special projects or put them in the store. I'm not on the distribution side day to day, so I don't know every aspect, but we definitely accept Macs and we definitely distribute them. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about your refurbishing process? We used to have a place called Free Geek.
Yes.
In Logan Square.
Yes.
Where they were teaching people how to refurbish their own computers. Do you have any program like that going, or you just pay technicians to refurbish?
So we have paid technicians, and they all have to, depending on what their role is, they have to be NAID certified, so National Association of Information Destruction. I'm NAID certified. Most of our employees are NAID certified, and you have to re-up that every year. We do have kind of ad hoc training. If we have volunteers that'll come in and they'll start on certain roles. They can't touch anything with data on them, but if a volunteer shows commitment and will come back week after week or on a regular schedule, we'll continue to elevate the level of technical work that they'll do. Some of our locations, we've only been around 4 years. Some of our locations that have been around 10 years or more have more formalized programs with that. I'm sure that we'll get to there at some point.
Free Geek actually moved down next to you guys, actually, 111th Street.
Last I heard, Free Geek Chicago closed down during the pandemic. And I spoke with, when I started at PCs for People, I tried to seek them out for a partnership, and I found out
we saw them back at the Vintage Computer Festival. They actually moved down right next to your facility on the south side.
Feel free to email an intro. I'd love to connect and collaborate.
Yeah, they got a store down there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, has there been any difficulty with working with hospitals? Does it have to do with HIPAA or sensitive?
That's of course, that's the resistance. Our NAID certification means we're HIPAA compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So we have worked with some. It's a longer trust process, as it should be, but we are trustworthy. We do it. We just got to find more, because there is an incredible amount of IT equipment in every hospital and hospital complex that you see. And I don't know where it's going when it's retired now from many of these.
So it's great you had the Microsoft relationship. Have you thought about or had any interest in doing like Linux-based systems, since they're zero and you don't have to have a relationship to use it, or you have an exclusivity sort of thing going on with
we do a little bit with Linux. Like I meant when he asked about the, do we have $0 computers? We'll sometimes put those out in our stores or do special projects. So we'll do that sometimes. There are some other nonprofit refurbishers. That's all that they do. Our philosophy is more like there's a lot of job seekers getting computers or upskillers getting computers from us. Yeah. We would like them to have what's probably going to be the operating system in the office environment that they aspire to be in. So that's what we focus on, but we do a little bit.
Do you want to plan on coming up with any plans for like renting them out, because students might need them for like a certain period of time and then give it back to you? That would be beneficial to them.
Yeah, I think we've done that a couple of times on a project basis, and we found that the administration of a rental, both for us and for the recipient, and by the time they pay the rental fees and we collect it, they're kind of getting to the price of just owning it. So let's just own it.
I saw that you guys do like take your inventory, you scan everything in that you get. Let's say that, I kind of wanted to see if you guys would have like 15 certain computers for file. Do you guys like take wish lists like that and kind of go through your inventory and see what you guys can produce? Like,
to some extent we can. There's like a special project, like if you're setting up a lab or everybody needs the same model. I mean, if it's too high a level of technology, we probably won't have it. Mostly we have 3-year-old and beyond, but I get if you're setting up a lab or you're teaching a course and you're gonna distribute a computer to each student, it's easier if they all have the same. And usually our community impact team who manages the distribution will work with the technicians and say, hey, can we get together 15 of the same? Let's try to make them Lenovo or try to make them HP or Dell. So often we can accommodate that. Yeah.
So from the maps in your presentation, it sounds like you are tracking where you're picking up equipment from. So I'm curious if your community impact team is tracking any other data to kind of measure your impact.
Yes, they collect the address of every individual that gets a computer from us. And I don't have any of the data here, but we can see what we've distributed in Cook County or any county or the state of Illinois or whatever. That gets measured from time to time on our community impact side.
Are most of your recipients
via institutions like the Housing Authority might get 50 to distribute to 50 residents. We do distribute to 501c3s that need technology to run their 501c3. That might be 5%. And you show that you don't have much money for it and you need 3 laptops, or even if you need a server, which won't be on our website, you contact us, we can probably help you out at a very low cost.
You mentioned a little bit that you worked with schools, but I guess having a lot of similar aims as you, or like a good way to get people computers or put you in contact with individuals. So just curious if you have any comments on your experience working with schools.
On the distribution side?
Sure, yeah.
So on the distribution side, it tends to be, and when we work with them, and again, I don't do distribution day to day, but it tends to be either a part of the school or something aligned with the school, like the PTO. I think that they find that school employees are really pretty busy doing what their job description says. And
Yes.
Wait, do we have a school employee here? So
yeah, it's really hard to do anything outside the scope of you barely have enough time to do what you're doing. So yeah.
But if there's ancillary organizations that want to help and cooperate with the school, and I think we might have even at times gotten the school to somehow provide or point us towards the free and reduced lunch folks who would qualify with us, and then kind of do a bulk distribution that way. We're happy to look at that if you know of a school or a school district that wants to connect on that.
Yeah, that'd be great because I have a lot of students.
I can give a practical example. So Career Karma is an organization that was focused on reskilling people. It still is reskilling people into tech. And then they have an organization called Reskilling America. And so Reskilling America, I think, contracted with your company, and they sponsored and gave away these computers, and I think they're still doing it. But it would contingent on your participation within their organization, because
that's not.
And that's really how I started to learn to code.
Oh, that's great.
Everything. So yeah, I can just remember opening the package and looking at and I looked at the sheet. I'm like, I thought you guys were copying this or something. I was just I'm like, I didn't care, but I was getting that sheet, and they just reiterated what a good organization you were, and I was just like, I don't care, I got a computer now, my computer. So it was really.
That's fantastic. Thanks.
All right, last question. In the pressure, I forgot the question. Well, I have one then.
Okay.
So you've seen a lot of computers go through the whole life cycle. What computers, since you've seen so many, have the longest longevity, and which ones are just always dying on you, and have a sense about the quality of the machines you've seen?
Good question. I'm not on the technical line to see if the HPs or the Lenovo's or whatever, or it could even vary from model to model. Like I know certain models, they'll say, we chronically get them with dead batteries. And certain models have other failures, just like any kind of consumer electronics. But we do, the business models, most manufacturers have the consumer edition of the Dell laptop and the business one, and the business one is more robust and built with better components. And that's part of why we focus on collecting from the organizations, because they're more likely to have the more robust computers that'll have longer life. That and the efficiency of being able to get 300 at one.
Well, thanks for all the questions and thank you.